Hey y'all, welcome back to Alternative House channel. Today I'm in England visiting Andy.
Hey guys.
And he's living with his 3 boys on a narrowboat.
It's a 50-foot narrow, so it's 50 foot and about 6 foot wide in total.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty small space, but we make use of it, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, and how old is it?
It was built in 1972.
How long have you been on it?
I've lived on a boat for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
Originally, I actually moved onto the boat that's next to you,
Okay.
which is this one here, which is a 70-foot narrow.
Yeah.
But then I moved out from living with my partner who owns that boat and moved in with my 3 children, and we needed a space for ourselves. My children lost their mum actually. Their mum died quite suddenly about a year ago. So about a year ago, my 3 boys suddenly moved in with me, and it was suddenly from me on my own on this boat to 4 of us. Here comes one of them. I thought they just saw the camera rolling, they're straight there. Hello, come on then. This is Thomas. It's my middle boy. Thomas is 10. I've got James who's 7, and then Oliver is 14. Oliver's the camera shy one.
How it works so far?
How does it work? Is it good? Yeah, no, it's worked really well actually. There was a lot of changes that I needed to make on the boat. Originally, when I first got the boat, it was just one bed, which was a nice, really big, full-size double bed. It would just fill the whole of the front room here, which was an absolute perfect bachelor pad, and the boys would come and visit, and it worked really well. And this is James.
Hello. And so you use all the space you have as well on the roofs?
Yeah, absolutely. Generally a space for me to sit. I write a lot. At the moment I'm actually currently working on a book and writing a book, and that's like my office, I'd say. That's where I sit and I write and do most of my work. We've got a 400-litre water tank. And up and down the canal network, there's water points, so you can go along and you can fill up your water tanks. I've built a filtration system, so I can actually filter the canal water, purify it through 6 filters and a UV filter, and then fill my tank, so I don't have to move for water, which that hurt, which makes a big difference for me, not having to move around. Because we don't have a washing machine, I generally take my washing to or to family. Sometimes I'll take it to my dad's or something like that, and the more I can. Every time someone comes over, they tend to leave with a bag of washing. I'm like, oh, while you're here, can you take some washing for me and do some washing as well. I've got a kind of a main filter that goes in the water. I've got a high-tech prop for my thing, which is a brick. And then literally I can flick it on, and then it goes through 4 smaller and smaller sediment filters, kind of gradually getting lower in size, filtering the sediment out, then goes through a UV filter to kill off any bugs, viruses, that sort of thing, and we get out the other side from the canal nice fresh water, and it cost me £200. Not £5,000, which is the cost of a lot of them that you buy.
And the water heater you have on gas?
The water heats through the engine, calorifier on the engine. So I have to start the engine for the heater, which the good thing is it doubles up at the same time. Every time I'm running the engine for hot water, it's charging the batteries as well. So she's 21-foot river cruiser, so a little bit different, still the same width, but more designed for fast-flowing rivers. And she's a bit of a project at the moment. As you can see, the canopy and stuff's all falling down. The plan is to actually build this in, to build a wooden structure and have this more of as a fixed, like a fixed room. So it's solid and a bit more usable. But she's a project. Originally, we were all living in the one space together, and it was chaos. It was just, I mean, it's hard enough as it is with kind of 3 of us in there full time, but getting this just made such a difference. Right. And for a teenage boy to have his own room, I think it's really important. And he's not a small lad. He's I don't think he's taller than me yet. Is Oliver taller than me yet? No, he's close, right? He's nearly my height. So we're getting there.
So when you're moving, you just tow this?
Tend to tow it, yeah. Oliver can cruise it himself if he wants to. He's welcome to. I always say he's welcome to take it off and and kind of cruise around and do what he wants with it, really. But generally speaking, he's like, no, you can just tow it. And we just hook it up onto the back and go, and it tows really nicely. It's only made of fiberglass. It's so light, you could probably pick the thing up in reality. So yeah, we just tow it along with us wherever we go, and then more back up afterwards. This is our stern area. You get a few different types of boats. Ours is what's called a cruiser stern, and what that means is we have quite a lot of this outdoor back deck space, which is great when we're cruising because you can get everyone out here. Me and the boys can all stand on the back as we're moving the boat, and it becomes a bit more like a communal area. And it's an extra room then as well. Whereas some of the more traditional boats have a tiny little back deck, but then they have the engines inside. My engine is under here, under my feet. Right. So we can really use this space, and I've got a bit of a kind of conservatory, like a bit of a chill out area out here. And
so technically it's back of the boat, but it's entrance.
So so we come in through the back. So this is what's called a reverse layout, which means we tend to enter onto the back, and we'll go, you'll see in a minute, we'll go straight into the galley, into the kitchen. 500 watts of solar going into a Renogy MPPT controller, 3,500 watt inverter, and 400 amp hours of lithium batteries. And then a generator as well. So they've got the petrol generator that I can use in the winter, and then I can run the engine and get about 120 amps of charge into the batteries as well. Oh, nice. So the engine has like a dual alternator system, both of which at the moment feed into the leisure batteries as well. So we're pretty good for power. The boys can still use it, don't get me wrong. My son's got his own 400 amp hours of battery as well, 12 hour, and 400 watts of solar on his boat too. And he will burn out his batteries gaming and doing things that teenagers do pretty much every night. Here we go. So yeah, we've got the galley, which actually for a narrowboat, this isn't a bad size galley. This is actually quite big. We've got quite a lot of usable space here, and I'd say it's got everything that most houses would. We've got 4 hobs, grill, oven. We've got an air fryer because I've kind of really seriously beefed up the electricals. We can get away with using the air fryer. Microwave that we never use, and really everything we need. Fridge that's possibly well stocked. Yeah, I mean it's a really usable kitchen. I love to cook. I really love to cook. I'm an awesome cook, right boys?
Yeah.
Like, more enthusiasm. How good of a cook am I? I'm a very good cook, very good cook.
And so you got it built out, or you converted, or you changed something?
This in here is original from the 1970s, I believe. Okay. So not a lot has changed, other than things like the oven itself is obviously new, and the fridge. So this is technically the living space, but this is also my bedroom. Okay. So one of the things that I lost when the boys came to live with me was my own bedroom, and this is a sofa bed. It does kind of fold up into a normal size sofa, and for a while we did kind of start folding it up every day, and eventually we realised that the boys were perfectly happy just clambering all over the bed, weren't you boys?
I would have rather that because the pillows always hurt my head. If I don't have enough, I hit my head.
Oh, sad times. But so it doubles up really for both spaces. But we've got, I mean, it's so warm. We've got the fire here. We've got a Morso Squirrel multi-fuel burner, and that's got a back boiler on it, so it feeds into radiators as well. Right. In both rooms, the radiators run, and it is the warmest place on earth, I swear. Once you've got the fire going, it's super cozy, and yeah, really, really beautifully hot.
I feel like this is warmer than a house.
The boat is definitely warmer than a house.
Especially because it's smaller, it's easier to get the heat around.
Yes. And the biggest problem I think we have is in the summer, it's so hot. On a hot day in here, well, we'd just go outside. Yeah. It gets really warm. It's a steel tube full of windows. You just get heat pouring through. It's so warm. This space is the space now that I really want to work on the most. This is, again, still kind of all original. And I feel like it's a bit of a waste of space. It's become my greenhouse at the moment. It's just my spot for my plants and just for a bit of greenery and to try and bring a little bit of life into the boat. But then we go into the shower room, which is teeny tiny. One person at a time, I'd say, in there. So I'm going to sit back and I'll open up and you can take a look. It is a boys' bathroom, so be prepared. But it's a really small space, but it is perfectly usable. We just have a cassette toilet, shower, sink, and it does the job. And then we're into the boys' bedroom, which is their kind of private space. As I said, originally this was one full width double bed, which was amazing because it was super comfy and I had loads of space and it was amazing. It was great. But yeah, once the boys moved in with me, we've made these, and they're little beds. I think I would struggle a little bit to sleep on these, but for young boys, they're absolutely fine. It works. It works really well. And again, they've got their own TV, they've got their own Xbox, they've got Wi-Fi, they've got hello.
No, it reset.
And they've got Alexa, they've got really everything you might need.
Right.
And then I think this is my favourite space out here. It's my studio space. I like to paint a lot, so I'll paint a lot out here. We've been podcasting a little bit out here as well. I feel like I've become a professional podcast guest. I'm not doing my own podcast, I just keep finding myself on podcasts. Every time we move, the view can change so dramatically. If we're right in the middle of the city, we might be looking out onto big buildings, but each time we move, that view changes and it becomes something completely different. I often tell people that I feel like boaters are the last fully accepted nomads. So we have this nomadic way of life that so many people are searching for, and as I'm sure you're aware, in a van you might get moved on, you're kind of looked at sometimes like you shouldn't be there. Height restrictions are coming into car parks, it's becoming way more difficult. On a boat, we're allowed to be here. We pay our license fee, and there's fees involved and there's some bureaucracy involved, but we're kind of accepted.
Like a couple hundred a year?
For the two boats, it's about £2,000 a year for my licence, but that's all I pay. For the sake of £2,000 a year, we get access to water, bins, maintenance of the canal network, which is over 2,000 miles of canal network in the UK. We can go absolutely anywhere we want within that 2,000 miles, and we're allowed to do it. So having that freedom to be nomadic, to move, if you don't like your neighbours, you just get up and go. If you don't like your view, you go change it. That's one of my favourite things, that it's accepted and it's allowed. I looked at all the kind of usual options for living slightly nomadically, like vans and caravans, and it just felt like there was constant stumbling blocks in the way to allow you to do it, or to at least make it more difficult to do it from time to time. Whereas on a boat, we're almost part of the history of the canal network, and at the moment still seeing that we're keeping that alive a little bit, and people respect that and enjoy that, and they like seeing the boats in a way that possibly other alternative lifestyles don't have as easily as we have. Cons, there's obviously space restrictions. When I first moved onto a boat, I moved from a 4-bedroom house and had kind of big double garage, had a driveway, had a garden. You have so much stuff. So to downsize and get rid of all that is a big process, but once you've done it, it's amazing. It's really cathartic just to let go of all the tat and the junk and just the things that you collect randomly that really you don't need.
How much does it cost to buy such a boat?
So this boat cost £35,000. Over the years, the guide has always been to kind of price for about £1,000 a foot. But prices have dropped recently, so if you're looking at buying a boat, it's a really good time to buy a boat because they're quite low at the moment. There's never a shortage of boats for sale. There's always, the market is just absolutely full of boats for sale, which is great as a buyer, and maybe not so good if you're selling. But as a buyer, it was perfect timing. 35,000 for a home, I think is incredible.
And then once in a while, you have to take it out to maintain it? Or?
Yeah, so every kind of 3 or 4 years, she needs to be lifted out of the water, and you need to re-black it, which is basically painting a thick bitumen paint on the water, under the water surface. It potentially, you never know with welding. It's steel sat underwater. There could be pitting, there could be thinning of the steel. This boat has had a full overplate of steel in the past 5 years. She's due to be lifted out any day now, and so it's always a scary moment. You don't really want to know deep down whether there's anything that needs doing, because a really easy job can become expensive very quickly if there's welding work involved.
right, thanks for watching. I will leave Andy's social media in description below. He's you document there everything about the boat life and how it's
Absolutely
going.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very inspiring. Even family of four can live on almost one boat, 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Cheers.